In 2015, I made a selfish decision that shattered everything I held dear. My husband, James, and I had been together for 20 years. High school sweethearts, we were each other's first love. We had 4 children, 2 boys 18 and 16 and twin girls 13. On the outside we seemed like the perfect family, but beneath the surface, things were beginning to unravel. James was my rock, a loving husband who stood by me through everything. He was the man everyone turned to when they needed help. But over the years I had gained weight and struggled with my self-consciousness. Even though James continued to shower me with affection, I was beginning to feel detached, especially when it came to intimacy, and I couldn't understand why. Despite James' increasing attention and efforts to reconnect, I remained emotionally distant. I thought it was early menopause, but deep down I knew it was more than that. I felt disconnected, but I couldn't bring myself to admit it. This distance led me to a place I never thought I would go. On my 39th birthday, I decided to make a change. I dedicated myself to working out, doing yoga and Pilates, transforming my body from 180 pounds to 135 pounds. James joined me in this effort, losing weight too, but even as we grew healthier together, my emotional distance from him only grew. At work, a new manager started, young, attractive, and magnetic in ways I couldn't quite explain. At first, I tried to ignore his flirtations, wearing my wedding ring like armor, trying to keep boundaries. But soon, our conversations grew more personal, and I found myself thinking about him constantly. What started as an emotional affair quickly escalated. James noticed something was off. One night, after a heated argument, he tried to kiss me, but I pulled away. Not out of disgust, but because I had created a situation I couldn't control. I was already slipping into something I couldn't walk back from. I arranged to meet my affair partner, determined to end it before it went any further. But before I could speak my mind, he kissed me, and I didn't resist. That moment marked the beginning of a 6-month affair, where everything changed. I was crumbling in front of me. The trial was a nightmare. I had to recount every detail of the affair in front of James and my family. James' testimony revealed that he had planned a romantic weekend, only to walk in on me with another man. The recording of his 911 call, filled with pain and anguish, was unbearable to hear. I had destroyed him in ways I could never undo. The public humiliation was intense. I lost my job, my family, and my dignity. I faced legal battles, and my children distanced themselves from me. My brother cut me off, and even lifelong friends turned their backs. I sank into a deep depression, overwhelmed by guilt and regret. Therapy forced me to confront the truth. I had taken my husband for granted, reducing our marriage to something transactional. As years passed, my family remained distant. My children visited their father regularly, but barely acknowledged me. My brother's anger never faded, and my father refused to speak to me. The emptiness of my actions was haunting. I tried everything to reconnect, but it seemed hopeless. Years later, my children returned home, bringing a strange sense of relief and joy. For 4 months, our house was alive again with their presence. I didn't question why they were here. I simply cherished the time I had with them. But despite my efforts to convey my apologies, they remained silent, and it hurt deeply. Gradually, the silence started to break. Conversations began, tentative at first, but then more frequent. Every word, every story they shared became a source of joy and hope. My eldest son opened up about his relationship. My second son proudly spoke of his achievements, and even my twin daughters began engaging with me again. As August approached, I began planning the twins' 18th birthday party, thinking it would be a fresh start for us. But when I asked if we could change the date, one of my daughters bluntly said, "Because Dad is throwing us a party, and I don't want you near him." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. The realization hit hard. My children weren't here for me, but for their father. I asked when their father had been released, and they told me that he had gotten out of prison in April for good behavior. Tears welled in my eyes as I realized the true reason for their presence. They had come back because their father was back in their lives. My children's renewed joy wasn't a sign of healing between us. It was a reflection of their father's return. Desperate for answers, I called my brother, hoping to talk to him, but he refused to speak to me. I went to his house, clutching letters I had written over the years, but he asked me, "It's important you know that I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at what you've done to all of us. It's hard to look at you and see what's left." Jake's words hit me like a freight train. In that moment, I realized that forgiveness wasn't just about asking for it. It was about proving I had truly changed. I had spent so many years convincing myself that I deserved it, but I never truly earned it. I was left speechless, trying to find words to say, but Jake had already turned and walked away. The door closed behind him with a finality that shook me. Unexpectedly, James came to see me. His expression was tired, worn. He had been through so much, and I had been the one to put him through it all. "I don't know what you're expecting from me," he said, looking at the ground. "But I've moved on. I'm not holding on to the past anymore. I just want to live a life without constant reminders of everything you destroyed." Hearing him say that hit me harder than anything else. He was done. Completely done with me. I sat in silence, staring at the door where James had walked out. The realization hit me. James had given up on me, but more importantly, he had given up on our life together. I had destroyed everything. I thought I could redeem myself, but the truth was, redemption couldn't undo the damage I had caused. James was right. He didn't owe me anything anymore. A few months later, I tried to reach out to my twin daughters, hoping to rebuild some semblance of a relationship. I planned a simple outing, thinking it might be the opportunity to reconnect. But when I asked them to meet, they responded with a cold, "We're busy with Dad." The word stung, but deep down I knew I wasn't welcome. Their loyalty was to him, and I had no one to blame but myself. One evening, I found myself staring at the family photo hanging on the wall. It was a picture of us on a vacation years ago, before everything fell apart. We were all smiling together, happy. But now that image felt like a distant dream. I knew I could never get that life back, but for the first time I felt the weight of what I had lost. It wasn't just my marriage or my family. It was the love and trust one had once shared with everyone I cared about. It was time to face the truth. I had to stop waiting for forgiveness that might never come. My children, James, and even my brother had every right to be angry with me. I was the one who had taken everything from them. The reality was clear. Some things can never be fixed. My actions had destroyed the core of my family. I wrote a letter to my children, pouring my heart into it. I told them how deeply sorry I was, how much I regretted my actions, and how I had realized the pain I caused them. I asked for forgiveness, but more than that, the dinners, the conversations. All of it was gone. And all because of one selfish decision I had made. I cried for what I had lost, but I knew it was too late to ever get it back. The guilt I carried with me every day was overwhelming. It consumed me, gnawing at my insides. I saw my children's faces when they visited James. They weren't looking at me with the same warmth they once did. I was a stranger to them now, and I was the one who had turned us into strangers. One evening, my eldest son, Michael, called me. It was unexpected, and my heart skipped a beat. "Mom," he said quietly, "I don't know if I'll ever forgive you, but I want you to know that I'm trying to understand." It wasn't much, but it was a small glimpse of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things could change, but I couldn't force it. The years dragged on, and the pain of losing my family never fully went away. But I slowly began to heal. I sought therapy, worked on myself, and tried to become a better person. I knew the road to redemption would be long, but it was a journey I had to take, even if it meant walking it alone. At a family gathering, I saw my children for the first time in years. The reunion was strained, uncomfortable. They were polite but distant. I could feel the walls they had built between us. I wanted to reach out to tell them everything I had been through, but I knew it wasn't the right time. Their pain was still too raw. We spoke in short, clipped sentences. The silence between us was more painful than any argument could have been. There were so many things I wanted to say, but nothing seemed to come out. Every word I tried to speak felt inadequate in the face of the hurt I had caused them. One day I sat in my car, tears streaming down my face. I finally allowed myself to feel the full weight of my regret. I let go of the anger I had been holding onto, the resentment toward James, and the bitterness I felt toward my children's silence. For the first time, I was able to release some of the pain that had been weighing me down for years. Time passed, and things didn't miraculously heal. The scars of my betrayal were still visible in the way my children spoke to me, in the way James never looked at me the same. But I kept pushing forward. The healing process was long, painful, and ongoing, but I knew I couldn't undo what I had done. All I could do was keep trying. In a final attempt to make amends, I wrote a letter to James, apologizing for the pain I had caused him. I didn't expect him to forgive me, but I needed him to know how deeply sorry I was. I sent the letter, hoping it would offer him some closure, even if it didn't heal the wounds I had inflicted. Weeks passed, and I heard nothing from James. I expected that silence. I had no right to demand anything from him. But the waiting ate away at me. It was the same wait I had experienced during the affair, always hoping for something that would never come. One day the phone rang. It was James. My heart raced as I picked up, but the conversation was brief. "I'm doing okay," he said. "I'm moving on." The finality of his words hit me harder than I expected. He had moved on. There was no turning back now. The truth settled in. My actions had cost me everything. My family, my marriage, my dignity. There was no fixing what I had broken. I had to accept that the damage was permanent, no matter how much I wanted to turn back time. With time, I found peace in the quiet moments. I stopped yearning for a reunion that would never happen. I focused on living my life, acknowledging the consequences of my past actions, and working to be a better person. I realized that sometimes, healing doesn't mean fixing what was broken. It means accepting what can't be repaired. Years passed, and I still carried the weight of my mistakes, but I no longer let it define me. I understood that my journey wasn't about redemption from others. It was about forgiving myself and learning to live with the consequences of my actions. As the years continued, I found a strange sense of peace in knowing that I couldn't change the past. I had made my choices, and they had consequences. But I was learning to live with those consequences, step by step, day by day. My family was broken, but I had finally accepted that sometimes, the road to forgiveness is one we must walk alone.